So I kind of want to give a little bit of a disclaimer if it seems like in the gameplay in the background that my hunter is doing something weird or silly or just like stops. I actually am a C5 to C7 quadriplegic, so I don't have any motor skills or use of my fingers, so sometimes my hand will slip or whatever on the controller, and that's why that's happening. First up, we have the Empress arrow Styx. It has a raw of 216, affinity 10%, blast 180, 2 level 3 gem slots. It only has close range and power coatings, but you can alleviate that with those gem slots. Starting out with the obvious, we have the skill Spare Shot, and man, does this save you so many coatings and extend the amount of power shots you can get, or if you're a fan of playing with CC, it's going to extend how many paralysis shots you have, sleep shots, and really help to make those effects happen on these monsters more and more and proc it more and more. It's a pretty simple equation, the more coatings that you're saving, the more shots that you're getting off, the more that you're going to CC the monster. So you should definitely take full advantage of this Spare Shot skill and really test it for yourself and see just how much it helps out. Now, going back to the gem slots, you have 2 level 3 gem slots. So if you have poison functionality, paralysis functionality, sleep or blast functionality, you can pick which ones you want to throw onto this bow as well, because I know that's going to be a deterrent for a lot of people, the fact that it only has close range coatings and power coatings, but you can make this bow what you want it to be with these slots. You'll see, and you probably actually have already seen, but in the right side of the screen, you'll see it pop up every single time that Spare Shot procs. It'll pop up with a text box and say that it did. And I'm telling you what, this just procs a lot. Like, I noticed on a decent bit of the hunts, probably some of the weaker monsters, but I didn't run out of like anything. And it was awesome because I was just saving so many coatings from Spare Shot. So take those 2 level 3 slots, get your functionalities that you want, whether it's paralysis, poison, or sleep, and do your CC thing, or you can go like I do. I love the critical draw build, and I use those extra slots for things like Constitution, Marathon Runner, to kind of depreciate the stamina drain that goes on when you're holding in that draw or charging up. I'm not great with the dash charging and stuff, so I'll have to work on that, but with that stamina build that I was talking about, it helps me to kind of get the best out of that critical draw still, at least as best as I can. Next up, we have the Empress Dagger Styx, 252 raw attack, nice chunk of white sharpness, affinity 10%, blast at 120, 2 level 3 gem slots to round this about, and of course the razor sharp skill. We all know exactly what the draw is with these two combinations with razor sharp and dual blades. With dual blades, you're sending off a flurry of attacks, and that sharpness is going to get ate up fast. So with this razor sharp skill, it halves that and gives you twice as many attacks that you're going to be able to get before you have to sharpen or before your sharpness level drops down a color. I myself love to throw a sharp gem into this and get that protective polish and give a nice minute full of not even having to worry about sharpness getting lost, and being stuck in that white sharpness is fantastic. Like, you notice just how much damage you're doing over an extended period of time, and then once that protective polish comes off, you have that razor sharp skill to kind of jump in and protect your sharpness as well. And I'm telling you, it's fantastic. It does awesome with prolonging that white sharpness, because at base the chunk is pretty nice, the amount of white sharpness that you get, so it complements each other perfectly. The blast proc, as with all status elements with the dual blades, procs all the time. You see explosions every so many seconds, it feels like, and it's awesome. You could couple that with some points in the blast attack skill and really see those things build up fast. And if you couple that razor sharp with the sharp gem, like I said, in between the phases of the hunt, you'll be able to kind of get that polish back on and get that free minute of white sharpness again. And for some reason in that past Nergigante hunt, I decided not to do that. But, you know, in this case now, it's not an absolute necessity to sharpen between the phases, which you still should. But for now, it's to optimize your hunt rather than it being an absolute necessity. As with all dual blades, you could go with the crit build. You can get the elemental crit with the Rathalos bonus set. You can go with a stamina preserving set. That's what I love to do, especially with this, you know, with my sharpness being halved, I can stay in demon mode with that preservation of stamina almost forever, it feels like. And even when it goes down and I go out of demon mode, it seems like my stamina's back with stamina surge in no time. All in all, these dual blades are extremely fun and they pack a punch. If you're pretty proficient with dual blades, this would be an absolute good choice for you to take on and see what you can do. The third pick I have is the Empress Edge Styx. It comes in with a raw of 266, a nice chunk of white sharpness, affinity at 10%, blast at 210, a level 3 gem slot, and one level 1 gem slot in comparison to the other weapons. Sword and Shield is a weapon that I've kind of been using lately, but I'm still pretty fresh to it. But I've noticed that I, you know, hit a lot with it. You do a lot of quick strikes, things like that, and I always noticed my sharpness kind of going down pretty rapidly. So when I saw that the Lunastra weapons were coming out with the Razor Sharp skill, this was another one that kind of popped into my head pretty quick, and I absolutely love it. You can very much tell the difference between having this skill and not. I mean, the skill itself, it's pretty self-explanatory. You get double the amount of hits before you go to the next level of sharpness, but man, you really take a notice after you actually get to use it and see just how slow that sharpness goes down. And you'll go through one phase of the hunt and you'll be thinking that, man, I absolutely need to sharpen. And of course you should do that, but it's not out of necessity. It's just to optimize your hunt instead. With the Sword and Shield, you're going to have a lot of similarities to the reasons as to why I liked the dual blades with this too. Sword and Shield, you're going to be flurrying off attacks and they're going to be numerous, so your sharpness is going to go down quick. But with this Razor Sharp skill, you know, you get a lot more off and the procs are awesome as well. That blast proc goes off and goes off and goes off. A little bit of a disappointment with the one level 1 slot, but depending on your build, it might not even hinder you at all. And the same goes for this. You know, you can do a crit build very easily. You can do a stamina preservation kind of build with constitution and things along like that, like I did with the dual blades. But with this, I really like to kind of sneak in maximum might. I've been playing around and toying with that, so I mean, it works out pretty well. You know, Sword and Shield, your back step is going to be the biggest thing in rolling for your stamina, but man, with stamina surge, it goes right back and gives you that extra boost to your affinity for crit builds. 11 out of 10, I would definitely recommend the Empress Edge Styx. The fourth pick and my absolute favorite of the bunch is the Empress How Styx, the gun lance from the Lunastra Xeno'jiiva set. It has 437 raw, a nice chunk of white sharpness, 10% affinity, 240 blasts, a level 3 gem slot, and a level 1 with wide shelling and a level 3 shelling level. So if you asked me why I liked the Empress How Styx, or if there was something that especially drew me to liking this one the most or having the most fun with it, it's a pretty simple answer. Shelling, 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 and shelling. If you couldn't guess, I absolutely love the playstyle of shelling with the gun lance. I know that it's also called, I think, like a full burst or something like that, but I absolutely love this playstyle. It's so fun, it's awesome to see the explosions go off, and I actually just recently learned the quick reload trick with the gun lance, believe it or not, but with that in mind, I love shelling even more. Now, by saying that, it's perfect with the Razor Sharp skill, because with the Devil Joe patch, we actually already got a reduction in the amount of sharpness that you lose with shelling, and now you take that razor sharp skill and you cut that in half. So you can get a shit ton of shelling down, and you know, like I said, I just learned about that quick reload, so I'm able to slam and shell a lot in a short period of time. I'm not knowledgeable enough with like the shelling type as far as wide, long, and normal to know, you know, what's meta now or anything like that. I myself, I like normal shells. I like having shelling level at level 4, you know, in weapons like the Royal Burst and whatnot, but I just love this white sharpness in this gun lance, and it would be very viable, I think, for even like a slapstick approach, you know, just seeing the amount of damage that you do with each slam and swipe, especially when you crit. It's just awesome, the amount of damage that you can do in that single combo after you slam, shell, swipe, and then stick in your last bomb. It's insane. Of course, with the gun lance with my build, I obviously, you know, have artillery, I have the capacity boost, things like that, and it works out extremely well no matter what lance you have. But man, with this, it just seems like the damage is incredible. You know, I'm breaking off parts like nothing, and especially with Nergigante, breaking off his spikes is no problem, so I don't have to worry about his dive bomb. It's great. I love this weapon. It's my favorite. It's the one that I'm going to be using and maining for a while, so I love that they came out with this combination set, and I'm looking forward to the other combinations that might come out in the future to kind of think outside the box and come up with some pretty awesome sets. I want to say thank you for watching the video and supporting. I have a lot of plans with this channel. I want this to be an outlet for, you know, people that are disabled like myself that might not think they can play games or stream or make content like this, and for others, even if they're not disabled, that want to help those that are disabled find their voice, their channel, their niche, whatever it is. But thank you again, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.